Hi, Martin Radnan here. We're currently working through the Level 2 Basic Word module from the ECDL Extra course. And we're now up to Lesson 12. Okay, if we head to the associated website, select Word, and then Word Lesson 12, the periodic table. Download the text that you will edit, and then let's begin. We're going to start with an incomplete and unformatted periodic table, and we're going to add all sorts of formatting. Now, as with most tasks that initially appear to be a little daunting, it will help us if we break it down into manageable chunks and deal with them one by one. If we look at the example we're trying to recreate, I can see we need to deal with the following. We need to add a column into a table because it doesn't appear on the original. That's column 18. We then also need to set and remove borders of cells within the table, set the cell shading, set the margins of cells, the horizontal and vertical alignment of text within the cells. We also need to merge some cells. Then we'll need to insert some shapes, and then we'll need to deal with cell spacing. Okay, so let's have a look at a list of our subtasks, and let's start from the top. We need to, in this case, add a column to the table. So to do this, click on any cell in the last column of the table. Now we want to head for the Layout tab. But be a little careful here because we've got a Layout tab that was originally on the menu, but because we're selecting within a table, we now have Table Design and Table Layout as well. It's the table layout that we're looking for, so the layout that's at the end of the menu. And in the Rows and Columns section, select Insert Right. Alternatively, what we could have done is to right-click with the mouse, and from the contextual menu, select Insert, and then Insert Columns to the right. Now we want to enter the appropriate numbers and text into the relevant cells. While we're filling in missing data, there's also an entry missing for element 111, RG. So let's put it in now. Next, let's look at getting the borders so they're similar to the diagram we're trying to recreate. I'll start by removing borders from blank cells, and then afterwards we'll replace any missing borders where necessary. So, to remove the borders, select the relevant cells. Then, from the Home tab, in the Paragraph section, click on the arrow next to the Borders button and select No Border. Repeat this for all other blank cells. Now, after we've done this for the first time, we'll find that the Borders button is now going to give us no borders, so we can just click the border button itself now. Okay, let's continue. Now, by doing this, we've taken away a few too many borders, so let's replace the ones that are missing. If we select any range of cells that do not have a complete outer border, go for the down arrow next to the Borders button, and this time choose All Borders. Now let's repeat this until all the cells that should have borders do so. Okay, we're nearly there, except for the lanthanides and the actinides, we don't want any borders at all. So again, down arrow next to the borders button, and this time, no border. While we're dealing with the borders, I actually think they want to be a little bit thicker. The method would be as follows. As an example, let's take this section, and what we do, down arrow next to the borders button, this time select borders and shading, and what we'll do is change the width of the line to a thicker line, and then press OK. OK, next job is sorting out the cell shading. So let's start with the green cell in the top left-hand corner. Let's select it. Then from the Home tab, select the arrow next to the Fill button. It looks like a tipping paint pot. And select a similar green to the one in the diagram. Now that we've selected this particular shade of green, next time we need it, we just need to press the Fill button. So let's do that for the other cells that want to be green. We now need to use precisely the same techniques to fill the remaining cells in their correct colours. So let's do the maroony red colour. Down arrow next to the paint pot. Then the tan colour section. Next, the pink section. Then the grey section. The olivey brown section. Then the yellow section. The light blue section, the light grey section. In fact, let's make the other grey a little bit darker. And finally, we've got two different shades of pink. So let's put those in. The one's for lanthanides, which is the same colour as for this cell here, and also the actinides, which is the darker colour pink, and that applies to this cell here as well. OK, when we've finished, it should look like this. OK, let's move on to cell margins. We've dealt with page margins in previous lessons, but now let's look at margins at the edge of each cell. You can get to the same options by right-clicking to get the contextual menu. But let's take you through the ribbon. Select the Table Layout tab, so again be careful which layout tab you're picking. Select the table first, and as we do, we'll have the Table Layout button at the end of the menu. From the Alignment section, select Cell Margins, and just to see the effect, let's change the top and bottom margins to 0.02 centimeters. And then press OK. We will see that now we have a little extra space at the top and bottom of each cell, so the text is not too close to the border. Now let's deal with the alignment of the text within each cell. That is horizontal alignment, which we should now be fairly used to, but also vertical alignment. We'll make sure that all text is centered within each cell, both horizontally and vertically. To do this, select the entire table, then head for the Table Layout tab, and from within the Alignment section, select Align Center. Another way of achieving this, though more cumbersome, is to select the table, right-click for the contextual menu, then go for Table Properties, and from the Table tab we can center the alignment horizontally. If we go for the Cell tab, we can select to align vertically. Okay, let's close that. We've dealt with that already. Next, we want to merge the cells around the word lanthanides so the text can fit. So, to be clear, we're going to convert the space that now comprises 3 cells into one larger cell. To do this, select the 3 cells that we wish to merge, and then from the Table Layout tab, select Merge Cells. Again, this is also available from the contextual menu. So let's try that with the word actinides. Select the 3 cells that we want to merge, right-click, Merge Cells. Just to tidy things up, let's right-align the words lanthanides and actinides. So select the 2 cells, and from the Home tab, select Right Align. In fact, I think that could look a little better. I think we need to indent from the right. So let's select again. Let's go for the Layout tab. And let's put in a small indent from the right. Let's say 0.2 centimeters. And then Tab. And now the words lanthanides and actinides have been separated a little from the 2 rows that follow. Next, we need to insert 2 arrows just near the cell that contains the words group and period. So, to start with, let's change the case of the first letter of the word period so it's a capital. So we'll remember from previous lessons. Let's do it the hard way. Select the word period. From the Home tab, change case, and then capitalize each word. Okay, period has now got a capital P. We could also do with adding a few spaces before the word period so that we have room to add a vertical down arrow. So select just before the word period, and let's put in, I can fit 3 spaces in here. Now let's zoom in, as these arrows are going to be very small. Okay, just to remind you, to zoom in, press the Control key on your keyboard and then roll your mouse wheel forward. Okay, so let's add the first arrow next to the word group. From the Insert tab, select Shapes, choose an arrow, and then we wish to place it horizontally. If you press the Shift key while you're placing the arrow, it will assist you in drawing an arrow which is horizontal. So I'm going to press my Shift button, then my left mouse button, drag across, and then lift my finger off both the Shift button and the left key on the mouse. OK, we now want to do the same for the vertical arrow that'll be placed before the P of the word period. So again, insert, shapes, arrow. Let's go just before the P. Make sure your Shift button's pressed so we get a vertical line. And then lift your finger off the left mouse button and also the Shift button. OK, let's zoom out. So Control and then scroll backwards with your mouse wheel. Finally, let's sort out the cell spacing. In the periodic table diagram, all the cells have a gap between them and adjacent ones. To achieve this, select the table, right-click, select Table Properties, and then from within the Table tab, select Options. Now, we dealt with cell margins before, but we can also allow spacing between cells. Let's tick or check, if you prefer, to allow spacing between cells, and let's set it as 0.06 centimeters. And then press OK to see the effect. OK, we're so nearly there. We have been left with a few extra borders that we don't want on our final version. So let's get rid of them. These borders are borders from cells that were blank. We did remove their borders earlier, but they appeared when we set the cell spacing. So let's select any cells that are right next to the shaded cells and set the borders to no borders. OK, a little bit of tidying up. I think the group and period, perhaps if we made them just a little bit smaller, they might fit. As I look at this, I think the only thing we may have not included is making all of the text bold. So let's select all the text and make it bold. OK, I think we're there. So if you put your name in the header and then close header and footer. So we've had a look at various formatting techniques that can improve the look of your tables. I hope you're able to make use of them and that they help you professionalize the presentation of your work. Next time we will return to delve a little deeper into mail merging. OK, I hope this is making sense and I look forward to seeing you next time.